So here's Dennis Prager. He's on Newsmax. They are ostensibly responding to Jennifer Granholm, who's the energy secretary, to supposedly laughing off concerns about rising gas prices. Prager is on a rant talking about destroying the energy independence of the United States. I know a great way in which the country can become energy independent, and that is to build wind farms all across the eastern seaboard, which apparently we're doing anyways, and to develop more sustainable energy so that we are truly energy independent. But be that as it may, he goes on to say that historians are going to look back at this era in part for the way that we treat the unvaccinated. Here is Dennis Prager coming up with a pretty stunning claim about how people with AIDS were treated back in the day.
Yeah, talk about rewriting history.
Of global warming, an idiotic, irrational, sick fear of extinction of the biosphere. I mean, do you understand the nonsense that we live with? If we survive this as a free country, historians will just ask, how did this happen? How did people get governed by irrational fears? Whether it is of the non-vaccinated who are the pariahs of America, as I have not seen in my lifetime any pariah group like this. During the AIDS crisis, can you imagine if gay men and intravenous drug users, who were the vast majority of people with AIDS, had they been pariahs the way the non-vaccinated are? But it would have been inconceivable, and it should have been inconceivable. They should not have been made pariahs. But yeah, this is kosher. This is okay. You can make the non-vaccinated. So it's a different America.
This is disgusting. They were absolutely made pariahs.
Oh my God.
They were absolutely made pariahs. AIDS first came onto the scene, I think, in 81. Reagan didn't mention it for 4 years because it was widely considered by the conservative administration and Republicans in power to be something that affected gay people and black people. And they didn't want to deal with it, and they were fine with it ravaging those communities. During that time, I found this article in the New York Times. 1986, violence against homosexuals rising, groups seeking wider protection say. So there were reports of increased violence against homosexuals because of against gay people, LGBTQ people, homosexuals, it was said at the time, used in that way, because of this rhetoric and because they were aggressively stigmatized. The conservatives at the time, the evangelical leaders at the time, were saying that this was a plague brought upon gay people and that they deserved it because of their sin. It's a lot more stigmatizing than anything he's referencing here.
Also from the New York Times, March 18th, 1986, William F. Buckley's op-ed in the New York Times editorial page entitled "Critical Steps in Combating the AIDS Epidemic" includes this paragraph. Everyone detected with AIDS should be tattooed in the upper forearm to protect common needle users and on the buttocks to prevent victimization of other homosexuals. So, yeah.
And this is in the New York Times.
Put up the thing that Cruz tweeted. I mean, you don't even need to go to other parties about this. First off, gay people were, in some instances, there was attempts to arrest them for having sex. There was talks about like literally treating them like lepers. Put up that tweet that I just put in there. This is what Prager himself wrote in a town hall column in 2008, 25, 30 years almost afterwards. Do we have it up? Yep. Even the natural sciences are increasingly subject to being rendered as a means to a progressive end. There was the pseudo threat of heterosexual AIDS in America, science manipulated in order to destigmatize AIDS. So he is complaining about the science that was involved in researching AIDS because he didn't like the fact that it was actually destigmatizing AIDS as primarily a gay man's disease and increased funding for AIDS research. He's conceding there was a stigma there that was inhibiting research for this disease that was killing tens of thousands of people.
almost like he's using the same tactics there as they're using.
Oh, that's exactly it.
It's the theme of the day.
It's the theme of the day. We pretend that we don't know history so we can, again, it's the reactionary mind. We're going to reintroduce the exact same existing oppressive dynamics, but we're going to repackage it as if it's something that is new and really a fight for liberation.
And the New York Times is going to publish it. And
people wouldn't even touch people with AIDS. I mean, I stories from my uncle who passed away from AIDS. Nurses, doctors wouldn't touch him. I mean, it was a big deal when Princess Diana hugged that HIV positive child back in the days. That was, I mean, the guy, I mean, this is just as reprehensible as it gets, in my opinion, because one, you're changing history to, and it pairs with how they're changing history to say that what they're experiencing is the same as what the Jews experienced in the Holocaust. Like, you are whitewashing and papering over these incredibly instructive moments in our history about how we treated certain groups of people that we need to learn from, and that conservatives like himself were directly involved in that project and complicit in it. And so I just... Anyway, that really pissed me off.
It's all like that's why Trump derangement syndrome was such a useful thing. Like, it's just you're upset about something and you're imagining it, right? And yeah.
But I think the issue is because they're so powerful, and because on the left, the moneyed interests on the left do nothing to stop it or carry their own narrative, we're forced into reacting and responding to it, because if we don't, they just, there's no response. You have to have a rapid response. So, I mean, this is why it's so important. I think why everybody's up in arms about Democrats like not leading with a message, because they just repeat the same message over and over. And here we are every day just defending it and attacking them and fact checking them when, we have our own power right now. We could be shifting the message or investigating. I mean, why hasn't anybody investigated Prager University just to start off with? Like, how much power there is in going into their finances the way that they do to us in every single left institution. You want to stop them from doing this, you have to play hardball, because they just keep doing it over and over. It's the Christian Coalition in the 80s. It's Prager University now.
Yep.
And we should say that nobody's really brought up the fact that that Barry Weitz's university is really coming for PragerU.
Are they a nonprofit? I'm very curious if she got nonprofit status.
They're working on that.
Yes.
That interesting.
Way to hide some money, make some money, huh?
They're working on it.